Hey guys, a lot of you have reached out and asked how to make this Monstera leaf that I shared in a recent post with you. So I decided to do a little tutorial for you, and I hope this will help you to recreate this leaf or just simply be creative with this method, do something similar with it. Okay, let's get started. First of all, you're going to need some kind of rope, string, yarn, anything that you have laying around at home, anything that you have on hand. I used, for this particular project, I used cotton string. This one is from Macramé Studio. I just like the way it fringes, how the fine fringes that you can get when you go in and comb it out in the end. So this one works great, but anything else will work too. Just the end result might look a little bit different. Okay, let's get started with the knot. It is the same knot that has been used a lot recently. You might have seen a lot of macrame feathers. They're a big hit right now. So this is the same knot, just the process in the end will be a little bit different. First, you're going to need one long string. You're going to fold it in half so you have a little loop at the top where you can also hang it at the end. If you don't want that, you can of course just take one piece of string in the center. You don't have to fold it, but if you would like to hang it, I recommend folding it. And the middle part, the center stem, will be the length of it. So cut it about the length that you want the leaf to be in the end. And then you're going to have a lot of smaller pieces that you will also fold in half, each of them. And so you'll have two loops again at the top. And these are going to be the width of your leaf. Okay, so you have two strings. Both of them you'll fold in half. You'll place one of them underneath the center string. The other one, you take this loop, thread it through the bottom loop, come all the way over here, and put these pieces, the ends of the string, through the loop, and you tighten it, and you push it up. Okay, I'll do it one more time for the knot. And this time, you want to alternate which side you're going to start on. It just gives it a more even look. And this time you're going to come from this side, put this string underneath the center, take the other loop, thread it through this one, and then thread the ends of the bottom string through this loop and tighten it. I like to go in and just tighten it real good and push it up. So I have this part here as tight as possible. It just gives it a fuller look at the end. Okay, once you're done with that, you're going to go all the way down as long or short you want your leaf to be. Let's assume I did the whole leaf at this point. Now, this is optional. I like to cut already a general shape of the leaf. You don't have to do this, but I find it easier than to brush it out. But don't worry, this doesn't have to be exact. You will go in later and cut a nicer line. And then you want to brush it out. There are different ways of doing this. You could either just take a regular comb. The finer the teeth in the comb are, the finer will the fringe be in the end, or it's also going to be faster. I like to use a pet brush just because the bristles are very fine and it just fringes it very nicely. But a comb works just as fine, just as well. You also have to go as close as possible to this middle seam. And all you're going to do is just brush all the strings out. Of course, depending on what material you work with. Yarn, you might not have to brush it out. again, it'll be a different look. But rope or string, you can brush out and unravel. Okay, and then at the end, once you're done with all of that, it should look something like this. When it's all brushed out, then I recommend to put the whole leaf once you brushed it out, and also now you can go in and cut the shape that you want the leaf to be in the end. For this particular leaf, the Monstera leaf, it has this typical heart shape. So just keep that in mind. Maybe do a Google image search or something, so you have a general idea of the shape. And yeah, put it on some kind of surface that you can move, because this will already also be the place where you're going to have it dry later on. I'll explain in a second. And this is now the fun part. Once you brushed it out and cut a nice shape that you want to have, then you can go in and start making the Monstera leaf typical holes and splits. Be creative here. Remember, it's nature, so you do not want it to be symmetrical. This side can look completely different than that one. It makes it look more natural, more real. Do as much or little as you want. I like it this way. And now the way that you'll have that the leaf will keep its shape is that I use some kind of glue or fabric stiffener. There are different ways of doing this part now, but I found it worked best with a clear drying liquid glue that I brushed on all over the leaf. It takes a little longer to dry. You also want to turn it over and do the back, so it keeps its shape from both sides once you hang it up. You might have to go back, do it several times, but with the glue I found that you don't have to go back as many times than if you use a stiffener. I've also combined the two of them. That worked very well too. With the stiffener spray, the fabric stiffener, it works, but you will have to go back several times more. But it will also have a softer feel to it and in the end. So it depends what you want the end result to be like. And you'll just spray it all over. That's the reason why you already have to have it on a mat or something that you can spray on and move potentially, possibly. And now, when it's wet, it might start, you can see it here, it might start curl a little bit, curl the edges and some of the fringes, but once it dries, just keep going back, adjusting, and then do the next layer of spray or glue, whatever you're using. Once it's dry, this will keep its shape a little better, but as it is drying, you have to keep going back and just adjust the splits and holes so they stay in place during the drying process. And then another thing in the end, you might have some edges that are not as smooth looking anymore that you would like them to be, or some strings coming out. So just go back in at the very end and cut them off and cut it again into a nicer shape. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and feel free to tag me if you ever create one of these leaves as well. I would love to see your results. Thank you. Bye.